One day I'm going to be able to do this with my eyes not closed.
Are you f***ing serious? Come on now.
We're trying to make love here!
Damn. Anyway, guys, I'm about to talk to you about Iron Man. We had already shot this, but I wore green, and there's supposed to be a green screen behind me, which is a problem if you didn't know about green screen. And then the shot before that, I wore a hat with the color green on the bottom, which is a no-no. But now we've learned, and now we're going to move on. So I get to talk about this again and continue to yell at you about movies you should watch, and some that you definitely should never watch, ever. Not even with your mom. So the first thing I want to do is a couple of shout-outs. First off, shout out to Red Dot with the shot. Red Dot on the shot. That's my boy at Red.Tem on Instagram. Check him out. Fantastic. Helping me do this and bring this to you live. Also, we have to the right of me, to the left of you, the podcast room for Running with Scissors, which is what I'm wearing right now. Fortunately, it's green, thus the redo. But Running with Scissors, haven't already checked it out, check out that podcast. It's available everywhere that podcasts are sold, streamed, whatever you want to say. Also, shout out to Capital Workspaces just for the space itself. They allowed us to be able to do this, the podcast. They also have meeting rooms and boardrooms if you do that stuff, and they also have spaces for you to cry. So also shout out to Audio One. You wanted radio, podcasts, music, and the news all in one? Now you can without flipping through 15 apps and screaming at your cell phone. Congratulations. And then also shout out to my man, Tony, who is behind Audio One, who helped us even create the stuff that we're doing now with the editing for Running with Scissors. I forgot to shout him out the first time, shouting him out now. Also wanted to quickly just introduce the channel. This is Watch or Skip, the movie review channel where I watch movies, talk about movies, and then tell you if it's worth watching or not. Movies you've seen, movies you might not have seen, etc. So, first and foremost, we're going to talk about Iron Man. For those of you that don't know the story, Iron Man is the first MCU movie. The MCU movie probably has like 30 movies now. I lost track. I watched them all in order recently, so now I'm talking to you about each one. This will be the first one, and obviously it's a good one because I'm excited to talk about this one. The one after this is not very great at all, and then it kind of goes downhill, but then it picks back up. So first and foremost, Iron Man, Tony Stark, one of the OGs of the Avengers, even in the comic books. This movie is about his creation, him becoming this playboy, philanthropist, arms dealer, to becoming a hero. And it's all about him almost losing his life, having to have an arc reactor to keep him alive, keep the shrapnel out of his heart from the weapon, and find out that his own business is selling to the bad guys. So now he has to go up against the guy that he thought was a friend and business partner. Of course, there's going to be spoilers in here. This movie is like 12 years old, 13 years old. If you haven't seen it already, you're late. I'm sorry, I don't care. First, we're going to go into the acting. Rise of Robert Downey Jr. First off, shout out to him. The dude was on drugs. The dude was at rock bottom. He went from being almost untouchable in the industry to being asked to do all these roles, including Sherlock Holmes, which is actually pretty cool, even though the movie wasn't. He really did recreate himself. Jon Favreau, who is the director and actor in this movie, is Happy, the security guy. He begged the studio, please let Robert Downey Jr. become Iron Man. This man was born for the role. He kills it. He's a natural, and he helped make the MCU what it is today. Like, without him, there is no MCU. There is no Avengers 7 or whatever comes out next. There's no WandaVision for you that are at home watching that. Fantastic last episode. I won't spoil it. We also have Terrence Howard, who had a bit of a fall. The dude was in smaller movies, Get Rich or Die Trying. He hadn't quite hit that Empire thing yet, and he was about to be Rhodey, the sidekick to Iron Man, and he had contract disputes. He had wanted more money, wanted to be on the same path as Robert Downey with how much they get, how they're viewed as an actor in this movie. Didn't work out. Unfortunately, although he did have success with Empire, he was not asked to come back. He was replaced eventually with Don Cheadle, who did a fantastic job. I'll talk more about him in the Iron Man 2 review, but he didn't end up coming back, and that's a huge role that he did end up missing out on for how much Rhodey's in all the other movies. Gwyneth Paltrow is in it as the love interest to Tony Stark. She does a fantastic role. She's not in it too much in this one. She really does her main thing in the second and third one where she's really central to the plot. This one, she's more of the guy and the girl falling in love, but they're hinting at it. It's not quite there. It's not interesting quite yet. Although she does a great job as the up-and-coming secretary, eventually going to be a CEO, eventually going to be his wife, eventually going to be the mother of his children. And it's great to see the growth. She's not quite there yet. It's not a huge role for her. Paul Bettany, who kills it. If you saw WandaVision, kills it in what he's doing right now. He's been in a lot of great things so far. He's really great as Jarvis, who's just his voice. Literally a dude going in a room like this, recording a few lines and saying, cool, done, bye. Gets a couple thousand, probably a couple 100,000 in his case, and he's done. And then he becomes Vision and has to do a lot more acting involved, a lot more physical acting, and he does a great job in that as well. But this is his first role as Jarvis in the MCU, where he's just the voice, he's just behind the scenes, still does a great job in the little that he has. Then we have Jeff Bridges as the Ironmonger, who is... All right, so in a lot of MCU movies, there's the bad that's kind of like the good, and they're both the same thing, essentially, where the bad guy has the same powers or the same suit or the same capabilities as the good guy. This is the first instance. Ironmonger is basically bigger Iron Man. And he does a really great job in this. It's the dude. It's Jeff Bridges. Goddamn, he's great. And he does a great job in this as well. He's good as was the father's partner, now is Tony Stark's business partner, but he's doing things behind the scenes. You turn out he's not that great. It's a great scene. He's a great actor in this. He does a good job. Is the villain perfect? No. There's a couple of instances where it's just not that great. The same versus same thing gets overplayed really quickly throughout these movies. At least this is the first time. I'm not going to dock it too much for that. Then we have the actor and director Jon Favreau. The reason this whole thing happened, a great director. He directed Elf, the two other Iron Man movies, and he directed the Jungle Book remake, which is my personal favorite of the remakes so far. No offense to you Lion King lovers, Beyonce's not a good actress, I'm sorry. And then Nitty Gritty, which is the details into the movie. I'm going to go in real quick. This was a real suit that they used, 400 plus pieces. And they did a really good job with it. It looks realistic. Stan Winston, who is the guy, the genius behind the real dinosaurs in Jurassic Park, and I think Jurassic Park 2 as well, he helps recreate this suit from the comic books and make it a real living thing. Like, it lights up, it moves with him. It's not too rough on him, though he does end up doing CGI because it was a heavy suit and it started weighing down on the actor. But Stan Winston's last role or last film credit is this movie. And it was good to see him there one last time and get to bring us one little last bit of magic, which ended up creating a whole franchise. Shout out to Stan Winston and his company. You guys continue to do great things even after he's been gone, but that dude was a genius. And it was really great to see the suit actually be practical. A lot of the effects in this movie are practical effects, and it holds up. I will talk about this more in the Incredible Hulk film, but when you don't have practical effects, your movie is 12, 13, 14, 15 years old. It doesn't hold up. The CGI is not going to be good like it was 5 years ago. The CGI today is going to look like dog shit 20 years from now. It doesn't hold up, and it makes the movie worse after rewatching it. I'm doing a rewatch. This is rewatch capability. The last thing I'll talk about real quick, one is the Malibu house that he lives in is all CGI, which still holds up weirdly enough. Created by Phil Saunders. Shout out to you. I looked up your name because you deserve credit. This is not a real house based on real architecture. Really well done. And then also the script was largely unfinished. Now, what that means is that a lot of those ad-libs and those little back and forth snappy dialogue from Robert Downey is real. That's acting. When you don't even need to write it down or read it. You just know what you're going to say. And you know the character that well that you can do that. That's fantastic. So a couple fun facts, actually 3. One, this is Marvel's first self-financed movie. So a big up for them for being able to recreate themselves from scratch. When they didn't have a lot of hits, a lot of those movies like Elektra and such weren't doing so well. And then finally they were able to hit off with the creation of the MCU. And now they're bringing back these characters from movies that didn't do so well. And now they're going to actually do something with it. Like the Fantastic Four films are now MCU commodity, and I'm excited about those. We also have that Burger King saved Robert Downey Jr. Robert Downey Jr. did a lot of drugs. It's not a secret. It's not a fun fact. This is just a fact. And he ended up being so high one time, he went to Burger King. First off, you know you're high if you're going to Burger King. They suck. And he ordered a Whopper. He took one bite of that Whopper and he said, this shit is awful. It was, quote, so fucking bad, he ended up getting off of drugs. God damn. That is powerful. That should be their advertisement. So bad, you'll get off drugs. We could single-handedly save Baltimore in one day. Then we have one last fact for you, and that's Hugh Jackman almost became Iron Man. That's amazing. Hugh Jackman was, of course, Wolverine. We almost had Wolverine Iron Man. I actually looked up a picture of that, and I'll have that posted here as well. Hopefully you saw that. It's kind of funny to me, but I thought that was very interesting. Wolverine Iron Man. The dude almost killed 2 franchises, and kill in a good way, 2 roles in the MCU, or what will eventually be 2 roles in the MCU, as Wolverine will probably be back with the X-Men movies. So as I said, final verdict, this is definitely a good movie. Watch, 100%, you need to watch this shit. And it's a 9.2 out of 10. I docked a couple of things. It's not a perfect movie. It's a fantastic start. I recommend watching it. If you haven't watched the MCU, even if you're not into superhero movies, you're going to find one movie in these 30 movies that you're going to like. Check it out. The next movie is Incredible Hulk, which is not so great, and we'll talk about it. So if you guys like it, subscribe, like, comment, let me know what you want me to watch next. I'll watch it. I don't care. I have no life. I'll go down and I'll watch these movies tomorrow. So let me know what you want me to watch. Please subscribe that button so that you can look at more stuff. And I have a lot more coming to you soon. Appreciate you guys as always. This was Watcher Skip.